Alright, welcome to this video, and as you can see, we just hit this trade. I'm recording it a few hours later, but just as a real quick reference for what the AM session did, before 8:30 AM, we took out this sell side. Then we rushed towards the open and took out this buy side. We showed signs of weakness, and then we finally rejected entering the PM session. So now we're going to go to a 5-minute. Obviously on this 5-minute, we're holding this little range, right? Like this 1-minute fair value gap, this 5-minute fair value gap as well. And it's honestly just looking nice because the candles are not closing outside of this 5-minute fair value gap. And then we are looking at this sell side because we have relative equal lows here. And then we also have this low down here. This low right here is a 1-minute swing low. This low right here is a 1-minute swing low, and that was the target for the trade. And obviously, you see a large portion of accumulation. Then, during the lunch hour, right? So we can mark out this lunch hour with a rectangle. So this is a window of trading, a window of time where you're not going to see me trading and probably a lot of other ICT traders. But during this lunch hour, right? During the lunch hour, there's really no trading, right? So that's off limits. However, exiting the lunch hour, we're looking for any type of movement lower because our eyes are on all this engineered liquidity, right? Like this engineered liquidity from here to here, whatever, whatnot. That is all engineered liquidity. So now I'm looking for a run on that. So I want to look for signs that we're going to push lower. And I get it here when we have a change in state of delivery, right? We have a change in state of delivery. Not only do we have that change in state of delivery, but we also had a sweep on buy side, a very minute sweep, like a very small one, but it's all within this 5-minute fair value gap and also this 1-minute fair value gap that I had adjusted. Now, not only do we have that sweep, we have this change in state of delivery. Now the immediate target is this sell side. And honestly, I was in class, so I was unable to make that trade. However, I spotted another opportunity when we took out this sell side, but we failed to reach to this 1-minute swing low, which was honestly my final draw on the day. I didn't believe that we had the strength to reach this low down here. So things I'm looking for. I'm paying attention to this 1-minute fair value gap. On the 5-minute, there is no fair value gap, but it's like a very strong rejection wick, which can also be looked at as an order block, right? This wick right here. However, I already have that marked out on the 1-minute, so no point of doing that. But basically, as you can see here, we have a 1-minute small bearish fair value gap in the premium of this range, right? So if we draw a little Gann box here, little range, the premium of this range, right? That is where this fair value gap is. And if I want us to create a new low, I'm also looking at the fact that this is a macro. So I want to now see, and this was the 150 to 210 macro. I want to see us create a new low inside of this macro, and that potentially being the new low of day, right? And now I see rejection on this fair value gap. Honestly, I took this trade before this candle had closed, meaning that like I had taken the trade before I had seen strong closure, so I really just trusted this fair value gap, and I also trusted like my directional bias. I didn't expect us to reach back into this fair value gap up here. So real quick, we have the middle line. Let's make it sharper so you can see. As you can see here on this middle line of this fair value gap, you can see that price failed to close above that middle line, and that's a really strong signature, leaving like this fair value gap open for interpretation. It's a really strong signature that we're going to create a new low, or at least come lower. So once that happens, I take the trade, stop loss place right here. Not only do we have that fair value gap, but we also have this order block, right? This order block from this low to this high. Now, with an order block, what do we call the center of an order block? We call it consequent encroachment. So what is this 0.5? This 0.5 on like right here where I'm circling is the consequent encroachment. Oh wait, shoot, it's not consequent encroachment. It's mean threshold of an order block, right? For order blocks, you call it mean threshold. For fair value gaps, you call it consequent encroachment. Well, the consequent encroachment, right? So if I were to draw like a little rectangle of this order block aligns with where price tapped into it exactly to the tick, right? So it's a bearish order block. The center, the mean threshold of that order block, price tapped it to the tick, and bang, complete rejection. Now, once we start rejecting, there's one final thing that I'm looking for, right? And I'm looking for an order block just for price to not reach above. If price were to close above this order block right here, right? If price were to close above this order block, then I would have definitely just closed my trade just like that, and I would have probably either drawn break even or maybe a small loss. But what I really liked was the fact that this order block off of this wick, I typically like to draw my order blocks like this, but I've been finding that like semi-effective lately, and I feel like just drawing it using the wick is just a lot stronger of a I guess bias, of a confluence, correct word. So bang, we wick through it very nicely. We don't come back up and retest its mean threshold, and altogether we push lower. That's like the final little nudge right there. Actually, on this wick, we finally nudge it one last time, and bang, we use it to push lower into the sell side, and that sell side ends up being the low of day. So this was a very precise trade, 60 points, just catching it at the end of the PM session. And I hope you learned something from this little trade review. The concepts I covered were sell side, buy side, obviously, change in state of delivery, sweeping one side of liquidity, and then how we can watch that to reverse later, and then using a macro, using algorithmic timing. This was very important for this trade. I wanted to see us use a bearish PD array to push lower within the macro, which is why I chose that 150 to 210 macro. Also, it kind of lined up with like my schoolwork and like what I was doing in class. And then finally, we use mean threshold of an order block. We also use a bearish fair value gap, a bearish order block, and altogether using algorithmic timing and whatnot. So this was a very clean trade, and I'm also going to be doing more trade recaps such as this. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. This was taken on a practice account, by the way. And yeah, have a great day.